practice. Like, I'm excited. He learned a lot. We devoured a ton of film. Guys get in here. I got to meet with all of them. I thought we just had a really good week. Gio, a ton of rehab with his ankle. So Gio had a good week of a lot of appointments with Rich. Rich has done an unbelievable job, getting him extra sessions. His ankles, he went from crutches to out of the boot to now he's walking around. And good sign, too. It's good to see him yesterday shooting around a little bit, still not practicing, but around. And, we got a tough stretch here. Obviously, I think we're the fourth. He reminded me this morning, we got the fourth toughest schedule in the country remaining. So I appreciate that assistant coach that reminded me of that so I can sleep less. And we got Syracuse coming up, and you know how great Syracuse always is. Hall of Fame coach with really good players. So, excited about throwing it up tomorrow, and I think we'll have a good week. So, good week.
Thanks, Coach. We'll let Jerry go with the first question.
So just following up on Gio's status, just more on some football terms, would you classify him as questionable, probable, doubtful for tomorrow?
No. He hasn't practiced yet, Jerry, so, I don't think he's going to practice today. Yeah, if you don't practice, it's hard to play, guys. And he had a bad ankle sprain, and I'm just glad yesterday, first time he, in the gym shooting around a little bit. So that's a good, not running, not jogging, just shooting. So try to keep his form. Rich will work with him for a few days, but until he practices full and all that, you can't expect the guy to play.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Go to Tom Canavan with the next question.
Hi, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
Good. Coaches many times become like, we figure them as X's and O's guys. In this season, are you more than that because of players aren't playing before fans, the family contact is limited? Are you now therapist, counselor, et cetera, et cetera?
I think in some ways you always are. You wear a lot of those hats. I mean, this is just a different year. I tell our guys, too, like, we're figuring out a lot of different stuff. I mean, we do the starting lineups. There's nobody in the gym, it's just so different in so many different ways. You have to bring your own energy. You have to bring your team has to play for each other. I try to keep them off social media as much as you can, but they're in the rooms all the time, so they're on that even more. There's just a lot. I try to keep them in the gym. I try to keep them watching film, but they have no break either from the craziness. Like, they want to go to a football game and they want to hang out with the regular students. They have none of that. So their normal is completely changed, except for when they get in the gym, and hopefully they have great practices and they're happy to be in the gym. But you're really you're working under very different circumstances, and I never had the playbook for this either. I'm worried every day. They test every day. I'm worried until I get the okay. Game days are always, you don't even know if you're going to play until 3 or 4 hours once the other team. So you got to worry about the other team testing too. And then you got to worry about the referees all testing, So it's just very different. But I think we as coaches wear a lot of hats, and we're fighting a lot of different things. And obviously a pandemic is one of them. Too. So try to keep their minds in good places and be real positive. And I think our guys have been that way, and they've done a great job, navigating all the hurdles here. And hopefully they'll get the reward to be able to play tomorrow night.
We can go to Bobby Darren with the next question.
Steve, last time we talked after the Hofstra game, you said it was a pretty good chance you guys could schedule another out-of-conference game. Can you just update the status on that? I know you have some gaps coming up between the next few games as well.
Yeah, I mean, every day we're talking to people. So we were close, I thought, last week to playing, top 10 team, and then the dates just didn't work out, and our testing protocol, too, is tough. So we do, every day. But, like I said, we got the fourth toughest schedule in the country right now. And, we'll continue to field questions, and, people are on pause and call up and see if they're, willing to, some of their opponents are willing to schedule games and stuff. So we'll probably schedule a couple more games in the non-conference at some point in time. But, as of today, I don't have any updates for you on that other than we got the fourth hardest schedule in the country remaining.
Go to Brian Fonseca with the next question.
Yeah, Steve, to follow up on that, you mentioned the testing protocol you guys have to go under. Does that make it more difficult to schedule games? Like, how does that factor into that part of it?
Yeah, it's because the other team has to agree to our testing protocol, which ours is the most comprehensive in the country, which is great. Trying to keep our guys safe and the whole 9 yards. So the other team has to do a lot of things. It's not just them showing up and playing the game. So thankful for all the teams that we've played that have agreed to all that.
Go to Richie Schneider with the next question.
Hey, Coach. So you guys are all set to take on Syracuse tomorrow night. What kind of stands out about them? I know they're missing a couple of their top players due to injury and COVID, and I'm already sure you're pretty familiar with Alan Griffin, if you guys have played against him quite a bit.
Yeah, they are. We're missing a couple of ours too, but they obviously we're 0-13 against Syracuse, our last 13 games. So great program, Hall of Fame coach, really terrific shooting the basketball. We know a lot about Griffin. He was, he's a really, really good player, and he is started off the season, playing great. Gerard is really good too. So they have a lot of good players, Hall of Fame coach. Their defense is nationally renowned, 2-3 zones. So obviously huge test for us, and a program that I have a ton of respect for back from my University of Connecticut days. Know a lot about Syracuse and respect that program a great deal, and obviously one of the greatest coaches to ever coach college basketball. So a lot of different things will be tested tomorrow. Our resolve on the backboards, our ability to defend the three-point land, our patience on offense, a lot of different things will be tested. I thought we had a good week of practice, and we got some rest too that we needed, and I'm hoping that we can play some good basketball tomorrow night.
We can go to Mike Ashmore from the Trentonian.
Hey, Coach. I just want to ask about Cliff, if I could, real quick. How big has he been for you in these first 3 games, and what do you expect from him from just a development standpoint going forward for the rest of the season?
Well, first of all, Cliff, I can't even start talking about him until I tell you how coachable he is. So he's been a tremendous worker and tremendously coachable. So his upside is, obviously off the charts. Because when you do those things, when you're coachable and your work, he's a really good teammate too. The guys love playing with him. You could just continue to improve. But he's gonna, go through a lot of learning experiences, in the next few weeks. And if he just keeps grinding through those things, and I love the fact that he's already been game ready to rebound and he can block shots at this level. And I think you saw some of his ability to score too. But defensively, he's improved a lot in the 3 games. He's devoured some more tape too. He's getting better at our defensive coverages. And he's done a pretty good job of staying out of foul trouble. With no referees in the preseason and no scrimmages. Those are usually lessons that you could teach during those scrimmages that you play. Weren't able to do that this year. So excited about Cliff, and I'm excited about all of our freshmen. They're really a good group.
We'll go to Chris Nowalski next, and then Jerry will be after him.
Hey, Coach, I know we talked about the non-conference schedule before. Are you concerned at all about the long layoff between against Syracuse and last couple games?
No, actually, I'm not. We have breaks like this during the season. We needed one after those 3 games. It was a very difficult stretch. We had 10 straight practices. So I like the fact that we were able to implement some new stuff and get better and try some different lineups. So I'm excited about that. I think we're going to have breaks this year at different times. Hopefully we keep staying COVID-free. We're one of the rare teams in the country that haven't been paused at all. So knock on wood with that. And, not worried about that. Hopefully we use this time, like I told our guys, the great part is we could get better, and hopefully we've used this time to get better.
Back to Jerry next.
Hey, Steve. I have a question about the testing protocol. Does
Does Rutgers administer the test to Syracuse when they come down today and tomorrow? How does that work? I asked because last week, Syracuse didn't inform Niagara about a prior test, positive test within its program until right before tip-off. So I'm curious as to how the process works for the home team and visiting team.
Yeah, I mean, there's Syracuse has an extensive, testing program, and as you know, they're an AC too, so they do things on their end, and then the day of the game we do our testing. So we're completely at ease with all these other teams, especially the teams in the Power Five that are doing a great job too with their testing. So that's our protocol, and then as we move forward into the Big Ten, everyone's on the exact same protocol of the exact same test and all that stuff.
So clear. They test. You test your team. They test their team, or do you test both teams tomorrow?
Yeah, we test both teams.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
We can go to Tom Canavan again.
Am I muted or unmuted?
You're good.
You're unmuted now, Tom. Now I think you're muted.
Am I better?
Now I hear you.
Okay. One of the things I noticed on the Big Ten schedule is there are like 4 teams playing on Christmas, which is kind of odd. I mean, would you take a Christmas game?
Yeah, I think part of that was due to the NBA at one point in time wasn't going to be playing on Christmas, so to take availability of some slots. And, I think those teams decided that they would want to stay, and not have a Christmas break at that point in time. So, I think it's an exciting opportunity for some teams in our league. And we opted not to do that. And so the teams that opted to do it said yes, they would do it. And other teams said they wanted to have a break on Christmas.
Okay.
Go to Bobby Down.
Steve, I want to ask you about Jacob Young. I know he's scoring a lot of points, but seems to be doing a lot better on defense. Can you just talk about his game on that end of the floor?
I mean, he's been spectacular defensively. So he's really done an unbelievable job of taking up, especially with Gio being out and guarding the team's leading scorer usually or best player, in the backcourt. So real proud. I mean, he, as you can see, he's, getting steals, but he's in the right positions and he's doing a great job. He's got another tough matchup with Gerard, on Tuesday night. So excited about how far he's come in a lot of ways too. He's become a real basketball player, and his defense really catapults him into another level when he's locked in on that end of the floor. So real pleased, of his development in that area and all the areas.
Go to Richie Schneider.
Coach, it's been a while since we last talked to you. I think one of the biggest things in the news that happened over the past week was Ron getting named to the Wooden Award list. Can you just talk about his development and what it means to have a top 50 player in the country?
Well, I mean, versus, anytime our guys get mentioned for those kind of awards, it's just unbelievable. And it's credit to, the work done, Baker with the Uzi Award list and our players. It says how far our programs come too, but more importantly, how hard they've worked and get national recognition, and how far our programs come now that we're ranked to have players on those lists. So, real pleased for him and pleased for any of our guys. And our guys should be up for a lot of awards. They really should be, and hopefully they'll perform like that all year long and have a chance to get some of those. But Ron's come a long way in a lot of areas, defensively, offensively, handling the ball wise, leadership wise. It's a nice game for him.
We can take two questions from the Syracuse media on the call. We'll go to Anthony first and then Ben after him.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you doing this. What have you seen from Syracuse on film, and how do you feel like you can kind of exploit the lack of Baramas Adibe in the middle for the Orange?
Well, I mean, they play a zone, so, that makes it more difficult to exploit inside, play. But I like their team obviously a lot. They play fearlessly. Whenever you shoot as many threes as they shoot, always dangerous. And they have multiple 3-point shooters. Their length in the zone, and obviously one of the greatest coaches ever to coach college basketball, and a program that just stands for winning. So it's going to be real challenging. For us. Not a lot of teams in our league. We don't have any team in our league that plays 40 minutes of zone. So they pose many problems, for us. And again, when you shoot that many threes, you're never out of a game. You're always in games, and they're a good rebounding team too. So they pose many problems for us, but hopefully we've had a little time to prepare, and hopefully we'll be ready. But we're going to have to make some shots. We're going to have to take care of the basketball. We're going to, have to offensive rebound. We're going to have to do a lot of good things against them in order to be in that game.
We can go to Ben now.
Hey, Coach. You just talked a little bit about Ron Harper Jr. What is he like, not necessarily on the court, but this is an off-court leader and a guy around the locker room?
Yeah, he's, we got a great locker room, and, thankful for that. And Ron's a big part of that. He's probably one of our most liked players. You see him every day with a different player or a manager, or, he's very comfortable, with everybody. And, does a really good job, too, of building confidence in some guys and helping other guys. And he's done a real good job with our 4 freshmen, So Ron has all those great qualities. Like, he's come from a great family. He keeps getting better. He's really still young, too, in his basketball. He's got a 7'4" wingspan. He could shoot threes. He could put it on the deck. He could post up. He's a true 3-level scorer, which there's not many in college basketball. And he can really defend, too. Great kid on and off the court. And the guy whose upside is really, really high.
As well. Does that help prepare the guys for Syracuse's own, having that experience as recently as last week?
Yeah, well, I think, all 3 teams played us zone, so we've spent a lot of time, against it. Syracuse, obviously, is an elite zone with elite size. I thought we did a really good job of attacking, all 3 zones. We devoured all the tape from those 3 games, went over with all the guys. We got a lot of layups we missed. We missed free throws, too. Otherwise, we would have put huge numbers up in all 3 games. But the shot selection was really good, and the shots we were getting were really good. So it's always the thing I look at. Some days the ball doesn't go in, but are we getting the shots that we want? Are we getting good looks? And, I think we've added a few new twists, this week, too, to it. But at the end of the day, you can't turn the ball over. And Syracuse does a great job of forcing you to turn over. They got great length. They play 2 passes always. They trap out of it. So they give you a lot of different looks. So this zone will be next level up, and hopefully it'll prepare us. Iowa plays a lot of zone in our league, too. There's other teams that do. So this will be a great opportunity for us to get better at it.
Steve, do you think it was beneficial for your freshmen to play those 3 early games and then get a week off to kind of get their feet wet before going against Syracuse?
It really was. And, I had them all in. They were exhausted. It's college basketball. It's very different. The demands, you never have a silver lining in guys being injured. But the silver lining for the freshmen, where they probably got more minutes than they normally would. And they learned a lot. They learned what it was like game speed. They learned what it was like game physicalness, game pressure. So we were able to play Mawat, Oscar and Dean, some minutes. And then they realized, too, hey, I got to get better at this and that. And now I know what you're talking about, because you could tell them in practice all you want, but when you got that game tape, it's just a different kind of teach. And so, real pleased. I think those guys are going to be good. And as you know, during COVID, everyone's got to be ready. Gio, 9 minutes in the first game, and now he's out for however many, so you better be ready. You never know when your numbers are called. And so I like the fact that they responded. They did play hard when they were in the game. They all give us something a little bit different. Oscar could really shoot it. Mawat can guard the ball. Dean is really athletic. And Dean can shoot it too. You didn't see that in those games, but Dean did some things too that were really, really good. And obviously, Cliff, what he can do. So some good things out of those guys, and I think those minutes were well received, and they learned a lot from them.
We can take one more if Tom Canavan, if you have one last one. One more for you. All right, that's all the hands I've got.